Hello, fellow race fans, and thank you so much for stopping by today. My name is Brandon, and I want to welcome you to the Pit Box. If you've clicked on this video, guess what? You are a part of history today. That's right, you are a part of history because today, this is our first episode of the Pit Box. And today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to preview the 2018 NASCAR season and just go through a couple of the main points that I think are going to be important for this season. Now, before we get started, just a little bit of background on myself. This is my 20th year as a NASCAR fan. The very first race I ever watched was the 1998 Daytona 500, where Dale Earnhardt Sr. won his one and only Daytona 500. And that scene of crew members lining up and down pit road to congratulate him, I think was the absolute reason that I became starstruck with the sport of NASCAR and why I've been watching it continuously for 20 years. So this is going to be a channel where you guys can come, we can discuss lots of different things that are going on within the sport. Doesn't just have to be with the top tiers. If you guys have suggestions for what you would like a specific episode to be, please by all means let me know. Leave any comments that you would like to in the comment box, and I will try and get to each and every one of you as quickly as I can. So once again, this will be the 2018 NASCAR season preview. Go ahead and reach up and pull those belts tight one more time because we're getting started right now. Alright, hey guys, what's up? What's going on today? Once again, my name is Brandon. Thanks so much for stopping by. So we're going to get right into it here today, the 2018 NASCAR season preview. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into 3 different categories today. First being driver moves, then we're going to talk about the changes on pit road, and what kind of racing we're going to see on the racetrack. The third thing we're going to talk about is the inspection process and what that could mean for some of the individuals that are watching this channel that also focus in on practice and qualifying as well. So with driver moves today, the way we're going to break this out is green flag, yellow flag, black flag driver moves. The flag acronyms pretty much, I'm hoping, should speak for themselves, but green flag are what I feel are positive moves, yellow flags are neutral moves, and black flags are the what were you thinking, what was the logic behind that particular driver move. Once again, these are just my overall opinions of driver moves. You may have your own, and by all means, feel free to put those in the comment section down below. So our first green flag move for the year. For me, it has to be Ryan Blaney moving over from the 21 to the 12, going from Wood Brothers in-house now to Roger Penske. And the reason for it is he's keeping his same crew chief. He is still driving the same equipment, but what I think is the biggest positive behind the move is just moving in-house. Anytime that you can quickly and more accurately share information, the better. He showed great ability to drive last year, made the playoffs, won at Pocono, and I think that just like, in my opinion, Martinsville changed Chase Elliott, I think it also changed Ryan Blaney with the battle that he had with Kevin Harvick. So I think you're going to see a lot of great things from Ryan Blaney this season. second green flag driver move for this year has to be Alex Bowman going over to the vacated Dale Earnhardt Jr. number 88 car. Um, as much as we all would have loved to have seen Dale Jr. continue on racing, anybody, once again, that follows the sport as much as I do, we all understand why, and we're all happy that he got to leave on his own terms. And Alex Bowman, to me, is the Cinderella story of this season. Martin Truex, for a lot of us, was the Cinderella story last year with the adversity that he had overcome, and with his longtime girlfriend, Sherry, and her battle with cancer. Just a real quick comment on that. Sherry, I myself and a lot of NASCAR fans are thinking of you right now. Know that you're going through your second battle, and know that, you all have our support, and that we're all Sherry strong. So, but kind of back to what we were discussing. Alex Bowman, if you followed, his career, he had run for some under-budgeted teams, underfunded teams previously, hadn't run really, really well. Ended up subbing for Dale Jr. By Dale Jr.'s request when he had gotten hurt. He had split the time with Jeff Gordon, and ran at Phoenix and a few other places, but Phoenix sticks out in my mind just because of how difficult Phoenix is. Almost won that race and finished 4th or 6th in that race. So Greg Ives is a great crew chief. I think that this is that defining moment for Alex Bowman, and I expect some really, really great things out of him this year. With yellow flags, once again, remember these are just neutral driver moves. There's nothing really negative here. However, I do think they are going to be somewhat impactful. So the first yellow flag move would be Paul Menard, who is moving over from the 27 Richard Childress Chevy to the Wood Brothers 21 Ford, which will be sponsored by none other than Menards. Now, there's two main reasons why I think that this is important. However, it is it's neutral. One of the reasons that it's important is it's cut Richard Childress back to a 2-car race team. Cutting them back, I think, will make Richard Childress a stronger force next season. And overall, I just think that their program will be quite a bit stronger. As we've seen, Richard Petty was stronger by cutting back. Roush Fenway was stronger. I think you're going to see the same thing with RCR. The reason that this move is neutral is, however good the sponsorship dollars may be for the Wood Brothers, Paul Menard, just overall, his career has been mid-pack since he came into the sport. And that's not a dig on Paul Menard as a driver. There's a lot of other drivers that are mid-pack as well. You've got AJ Allmendinger, great road course driver, great super speedway driver, but just overall mid-pack. I don't see how this is going to change his overall season and where he'll end up in the standings. So our second yellow flag driver move of the season's going to take a moment to explain. And I'm going to try and have some graphics up here on the screen so that it's easier for everybody to follow along, because believe it or not, even communicating it through this video can get a little confusing at times. So it's going to be Casey Keene moving from the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevy to the number 95 Levine Family Racing Chevy. So by Casey Keene moving from the number 5 to the 95, it frees up that car to go to William Byron. Now, William Byron is not going to be in the number 5. He is going to be in the 24. What they've basically done is they've taken that number 5 crew, that number 5 car, and they've put the number 24 on it. Nothing else changes. Now, what they've also done for Chase Elliott is they've basically taken the 24 car and they've put a number 9 on it. So the crews, the cars, where they sit in the shop, all of that stays the same. But essentially, Hendrick Motorsports got rid of the number 5 to bring the number 9 on board. And William Byron is going to be over there. So the positive is that it frees up room for Hendrick Motorsports to bring in defending Xfinity Series champion William Byron, which I expect a lot of good things from. But overall, Kasey Kahne, over the last couple of seasons, kind of like what I said with Paul Menard, mid-pack, did win the Brickyard last year, got into the playoffs, but then after that, didn't do much of anything. I don't know what the answer is for Kasey Kahne right now. When he came in, he was, in my opinion, set to be the next big thing, and over the last couple of seasons, it's just trailed off. So I'm not quite sure what the issue is there, but just overall, I think Leavine Family Racing having an experienced driver, a driver that can and has won races in the past, I think is going to be beneficial for them. And overall, it was a good move for Hendrick Motorsports as well. So now we've moved on to our black flag. And there's only one, and this one's going to be highly debatable, but this is what I'm hoping for, is that we do spark some debates on this channel. I want to know what you guys are thinking along with how I'm feeling. And I'm going to take a moment to explain this. This has nothing to do with the driver that this involves. This deals with the logistical moves around this. So my black flag move for this season is Erik Jones moving into the 20, which left Matt Kenseth without a ride for this season. And let me go ahead and explain why. So I had hoped that towards the end of last season, about 2 weeks into the playoffs, that Matt Kenseth, we knew, was going to be wrapping up with Joe Gibbs Racing, which we knew what that all meant. Erik Jones moving over, and that was always the plan, and that I'm okay with. But what I honestly thought was going to happen, my expectation would have been that Furniture Row Racing would have kept that 77 team intact because they ran very well. They definitely had sponsorship for that car. And then that would have given Matt Kenseth a ride, staying with Toyota, realistically staying with Joe Gibbs Racing, and allowing Matt to basically end his season or end his career on his own terms. In my opinion, I don't feel he got the ability to do that. He was pushed out for a younger driver. And like I said, once again, this has nothing to do with Erik Jones. I think Erik Jones needs to be in the Cup Series, and he needs to be in a high-quality ride. I just, overall, I don't understand why Furniture Row Racing and Barney Viscera couldn't have given that opportunity possibly to Matt Kenseth or to a lot of other Xfinity drivers that I think at this point in their career, need to start looking at options of whether they're going to be able to make it to the Cup Series or not. So now that we've covered our driver moves, what I'd like you guys to do is, in your comments, let me know what your moves are and where you would have ranked them. and even why. I would love to know what you guys are thinking. Now let's move on to the racing that we can expect and some of the changes that you're going to see on pit road. Racing wise, what I think we're going to see this season are basically what we saw in the playoffs, but you're going to see that more as a regular occurrence. One of the things that Martin Truex had taught us last year is how important stage points themselves are. Stage points are, and even stage wins, are just as important as being there at the end of the race. Just ask Jimmy Johnson. Just ask Kevin Harvick, who had wins, and wins were great, but Martin Truex had a huge cushion going into each start of the playoffs themselves. The other thing that's changed a little bit this year, as I'm sure most of you are well aware, is the amount of crew members that can go over the wall. It's been subtracted down to 1, and the gas man can only fuel the car at this point. Now that is strictly for safety reasons. A lot of us have all seen fuel accidents that have happened in NASCAR. I think this, along with the self-venting fuel can, will help with that. Another small thing that you're going to see is driver crews, pit crews are going to now be wearing a number on their fire suit. This is not a driver sport, this is a team sport, and I like the fact that they are trying to give more attention to the crews that service these cars. Another small thing that we're not going to see on the racetrack, but they have limited, basically a team is going to have a roster at this point, from engineers to crewmen and that is also to try and help these smaller teams as well, and for them to at least be able to be competitive, where you're not going to have 40 guys on, let's say, a Roush car, and we'll take Levine Family Racing, where they may only have 10 or 12 individuals that can work on that car. So kudos to NASCAR on that. It's something small, but I do think it's something important. Finally, the last thing we're going to touch on today is the inspection process. Now, I've not seen this inspection process for myself and how it works, but from what I've read and some of the videos that the NASCAR YouTube channel has put out. And by the way, if you haven't checked that channel out, please feel free to do so. They put a lot of short videos together of just headlines that are going on, and that way you visually have a representation as well. But from what I've seen and what I've read is that you're not going to have as many stations as you did before. You're going to go in, put the car into this, what they're calling Hawkeye system, and you're going to have the car inspected from a couple hundred different points, including the underneath of the car. You're going to be told whether you pass or fail. If you fail, it's going to state where, and then you're going to have the opportunity to correct the issue and go back through. Now, I don't know how many times you're going to be able to go back through, and if or what the penalties will be if you don't make it through. Now, my hope is that this starts eliminating the penalties during practice and the different practices through the race weekend, because the one thing that I can tell you that I'm tired of talking about, tired of hearing about on Sirius XM at the end of every race weekend is somebody gets a penalty somewhere, and it seems like we're talking about the penalties more than we're talking about the great racing that has been on the racetrack. One thing that we have to remember is that at this point, quite honestly, that my opinion being the racing that was on the racetrack last year was some of the greatest racing we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. And that is what we need to focus on. But overall, I would love to hear what you guys think is important as we preview the 2018 NASCAR season. I'm going to have little bullet points linked up in the description, kind of what we talked about. Once again, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I would like to just throw out a little challenge this week and see if we can get 25 likes on our first video of this series. I greatly appreciate any support that you have. Please feel free to leave a comment quickly as well. Consider subscribing, clicking the bell notification so that you don't miss anything, and follow me as well on social media. I'd love to connect with you guys. Till we meet again, once again, my name is Brandon, and you guys